Hi, I'm Serena Simmons and welcome to 8 Model Psychology. Today we're going to be looking at how you can get rid of that back to work Sunday feeling. You know the one I'm talking about. So first of all, when I said the title of today's video, did you suddenly have a feeling? Could you relate to what I was talking about? I think for me this is something that really goes back to our school days when, maybe you can relate to this, you felt that dread in the pit of your stomach on a Sunday night because you know that you had school the next day. Now, one of the myths about that feeling that we used to have when we had to go to school was that as you got older, that feeling would dissipate. It would just merely fly away into the ether, that you would suddenly feel happy about everything you had to do on Monday morning. It's a lie. Although I am really privileged to absolutely, to my core, love what I do every day, and I particularly now love Mondays, I never always felt that way. In fact, I've had jobs in my past which I really didn't like, and I would definitely experience that Sunday feeling. I remember a particular job that I had when I lived in New Zealand, and I always relate to this as one of the hardest, most difficult jobs I've ever had. And it was working for an acquired brain injury unit. It was a really, really difficult job. I had to go into work every morning, and we were each allocated a series of patients that we had to get up on our own, dress them, feed them, wash them, do everything for them and all of their personal care. And it was hard. In fact, I wouldn't just have the Sunday feeling. In fact, that feeling would go right through the night because I would feel like that even the next morning as I would sit there crying in my car before I had to go into work. Now, maybe you can relate to this, not the crying bit, but some of the other stuff that I've said, where sometimes you have that dread in the pit of your stomach about the job that you have to go and do on Monday morning. It's important because a lot of the clients that I work with have also experienced that feeling, and it's typically because they want to change something in their life, and often the thing that they want to change is their job. They often want to change a job because it no longer feels fulfilling. They feel like they've really become stagnant in their role. They want to change, or actually sometimes it's a little bit more sinister than that, so they feel like they really hate going into that workplace. It might feel toxic or stressful, or they might even feel like they're being bullied. Basically, there are lots of reasons why an individual will want to change their circumstances and change their career. And so, like I said, at 8, we are all about helping you have a blueprint for change, and your career or your job is a really important part of that. What's really interesting, and I've definitely shared this here before, is a lot of people typically wait for an external force before they will make a change. They'll wait for something to happen, either to be made redundant or unemployed. They often wait until they're incredibly stressed and experience some kind of illness. And I've even said before that people often have to experience death before they make a change. I've joked that it's their own because that will pretty much put a stop to anything, but actually more seriously, often when someone close to you or someone significant dies in your life, it presents that reframe and a different way of looking at your life. Suddenly everything seems so precious and life seems so short, so why waste it doing something that you don't love doing? Now, I want to share with you 4 things today that you can do to actually start to make a change with this particular issue. The underlying rationale behind all of these things is to actually start to completely rewire how you're looking at the work that you're doing. Essentially, what we're going to do is to reframe everything so that suddenly you feel like you have a choice. Feeling like you have a choice in this situation can be revolutionary in terms of how you feel about going into work. So let's look at those 4 tips. The first one is to write out your costs and benefits. As you know, if you've been here for any length of time, I'm a massive fan of starting to write things down because it changes the way you process information. In this case, what I'd really encourage you to do is to write an exhaustive list about the costs of staying where you are, but also the benefits. What we actually want you to do is to see clearly your reasons for wanting to go, actually also being clear about the benefits of staying. Take those benefits on board as your current choice for staying where you are. There's a good reason essentially for me staying in this job, and actually there's a positive benefit to me keeping this role. What this should help you to do is to actually kind of fall in love with your job a little bit more, so it actually again reframes the way you relate to the job that you're doing. Just as a disclaimer though, I don't want you to use this list as a reason to outstay your job. In other words, a lot of people can also use that as a reason to stay put. You know, oh, it's not that bad, I've got a great salary, I like the people I work with, I may as well stay. That's not what we're saying. We're saying be clear of the positive reasons for staying and actually use that as a positive mood booster and to have gratitude and positivity about staying there. But just be mindful that actually your bigger picture, your bigger vision is to go. And that leads me on to tip number 2. And that is to get clarity on where you want to be and to scaffold your way to that destination. So what do I mean by that? Well, what we're not digging deep on in today's video is the actual thing that you want to leave for. We've covered that in other videos and I'll put a link below to Finding Your Passion. But assuming you know where you want to be, what you actually need to do now is to strategize logical sequential steps to get to that place. I would then, if I was coaching you through this process, get you to literally diarise and plan small steps along the way to get to that place. So you would be doing something not only weekly and monthly, but actually realistically I'd be getting you to do little things daily that have you feel like you're working towards that goal. I call this scaffolding because it's a term used in teaching. Essentially, you're helping someone kind of build their way to the top. They're building their way out in this case. So you're building your linear strategic path to that exciting goal at the end of the tunnel. Tip number 3 is to get help. So many people don't do this. I'm a big fan of going outside of yourself to get the help that you need. There's no reason why you should know how to do this. This isn't the kind of stuff that we're taught in school, and actually sometimes making a big change like a career change or a change of job can actually feel quite scary. In that case, when I say get the help, it doesn't have to be through a therapist or a coach or anyone like that, but it can actually just be the help of your family, the help of other people who've done similar things. Mentors and people that inspire you are also a really good way of getting that help that you need and be inspired to move forwards. Tip number 4 is to tick things off your list. So this is a really simple tip, and all I mean by this, and it links back to the scheduling and diarising, is to keep a copy and a plan of everything that you're accomplishing. This again works a little bit like a gratitude journal because you can see how far you've come and you can see then how close you are to your actual goal. Unconsciously, your brain is processing this as a win. You are moving forward. You are getting closer to your goal. What all of these tips are actually doing is having you think and feel like you first of all have a choice, but also that you can actually physically see how you are strategically moving forward to get to where you want to be. That whole process definitely has you reframe and reevaluate how you feel going to work every week. If you can see where you're headed and see a light at the end of the tunnel, suddenly your workplace becomes much more bearable and you can completely avoid that Sunday night feeling. I hope that you found today's tips useful. You'll also find below a link to the new training that I'm doing called the Mind Map, so do check that out as well. And if you do like what you've seen today, please do click on the link below to subscribe, and that way you get this in your inbox every single week. Bye!